Yo, what's up, guys? Um, actually, a very positive video this time. I know usually when you see a Discord message, and me making a video on it on the screen, it's usually me just talking about STF being an idiot and a bunch of bullshit. But not today. Today, this is about Apogea, which a game I've talked about, made a couple videos on, been very, very excited for, and they are finally announcing the date of the next playtest. So originally they said it was going to be probably is what they said. Actually, they said probably mid-December. However, it is going to end up being mid-January, January 16th, which I sort of predicted this. The game, I mean, they always give a pretty decent like warning or heads up on when the tests are going to be, usually about a month. And since we had not had any sort of announcement by now, I kind of figured that it would end up being around early January to mid-January. Because if they were to give it a month announcement now, then it would be pretty much right around Christmas slash New Year's time, and you just don't really want to make a playtest that time. Because you want to make like whenever you put a playtest out, you want as many people to play it as possible. You want your dev team to be able to constantly fix issues that arise, and you don't want to have to be sitting around 24/7 on or around Christmas slash New Year's, right? It's silly. But anyways, just to read this off, he said, if you're wondering why, this is Ed, by the way. I love this guy. He's a lead dev, or I guess I'm pretty sure he's lead dev. I don't think they only have like five, but Ed, love that guy. Kind of bald though. If you're wondering why it's such a late date, please read this. I know the wait has been hard and asking for these extra days sounds rough, but unfortunately we need the time to make sure all the new content we added is working properly and is polished because this time we added a lot of new things. Just to give a bit of reference, we essentially doubled the amount of items and map size while adding multiple new mechanics and traits to the game. Um, a big one is the rune system, which I'm actually not sure. I think I made a video talking about it, or maybe I didn't. I don't know. But they're adding runes, which are going to be ways to like modify your character. I think specifically most of the runes are related to spells and customizing slash limiting spellcasters. One thing that they said, because I mean, I know Ed did a stream on this at least like 2 months ago, where he was talking about like some of the runes and how they modify, and effectively like casters won't be able to just use every kind of spell like all the time. You're going to be able to use limited spells, but you're going to have runes that modify those certain spells and make them overall better than they were before. But without the runes, they'll be worse. But yeah, it's like another level of customization for your class, specifically mages. And I do believe there's going to be some sort of like physical ones. They did speak about potential like class modifications that would go onto your bag, the rune system. However, as far as I'm aware, that idea has been scrapped for various reasons. Yeah. So, we thought it was the correct timing due to how well last test went, so we're pushing to get the game semi-ready for release, making this upcoming test very likely the final one, where we just make sure everything's working as intended before going live officially. So, this right here immediately sounds to me like whenever, like, most of the stuff in this test will probably be the stuff that's going to be in the full game. I guess, either early access or I'm assuming it's going to be early access, or the actual release of the game. And really, this test is just, hey, did we do everything right? Is there anything that we really still need to work on? Systems that like don't work properly or just outright bad, things they need to fix, that sort of thing, before sending the game live. I fully expect that if this goes well, we will probably get, if not a release, an announcement for the early access slash full release or whatever. I don't know. I'm just gonna call it early access because I assume it will be. The early access sometime within like 1 to 3 months after the playtest, or maybe even sooner. Maybe it's almost immediately after. And then he says, so a few weeks before this test, I would do yet another announcement to give instructions for Patreons, Patreon supporters, how to connect to the Day First exclusive servers. All patrons that are subbed on June, July, August, September, October, November, December, or January will be eligible for that. On that note, me and the team want to thank all patrons that have been supporting us still have not given up on Apogea. You're always been incredible and has allowed us to add this ton of new content to the game. Without you, things would have been a lot different. And that's it. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm looking forward to sharing everything we've made with you so far. So, just to clarify on this position a bit, this right here, this Patreon first, a day first exclusive servers. This does not mean that the Patreon supporters will have access, or Patreon supporters will have access to the game a day before. What this means is, whenever they release the servers, there will be one specific server that is Patreon supporter exclusive for the first day. So all the servers will go live on January 16th, 10 a.m. That's Eastern Standard Time. And when these servers go live, there will be one server that only Patreon supporters can join for the first day. So on January 17th at 10 a.m., the Patreon server will also become public access to everyone else. All this really does is just allow you to have a less populated server day one. There's no sort of like meaningful advantage, I'd say. Like, you can maybe like get out of the early game a little bit faster because you're not as contested, but overall, it's not really going to change much. I'm not going to be playing on this. Regardless of whether I am or whether I'm not a Patreon supporter, I wouldn't play on this anyway, just because I would rather play the normal public servers. It allows, easier access to play with friends that maybe aren't doing it, like aren't supporting it or on the Patreon or whatever, and also just a more popular and a more generic world feel when you start, because this way, you're starting when the server's full, when there's a bunch of people there. You don't really have to um have like you don't really have like a fake start, right? Which is the thing. I mean, something I always enjoy. Like I don't like these things like, oh well, there's like it's a very limited amount of people that are going to be on the server the day one, and then day two everybody else is going to flood in. But like, okay, well at the day two I'm already like out of the starting zone, so I don't really care as much about it. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's just that's how that is. And I know like a lot of people share the sentiment. But I mean, it's just like a nice little thing for Patreons that if they want to do, like, they just like want to chill and go at their own pace. It's a bit easier that way to get out of the early game. And I have 100, 200 to 300 people contesting. Oh, excuse me, rats and skeletons with you. Um, Other than that, though, there's not really a lot to make this video. Gotta get it 10 minutes, but 3 more minutes of yapping, I could do that. I will say I'm super excited for this. I was like on some level, I'm kind of happy that it's been delayed until mid-January. For those of you who don't know, Ashes of Creation, its early access starts on the 11th of December. So we have, we as in me, we have Elden Ring Night Rain DLC on the 4th of December. Then we have Ashes of Creation on the 11th of December, and that's going to carry me for about a month all the way up until this game's next playtest on the 16th, and then I'll probably just go back to playing like Ashes of Creation, assuming I actually like it. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Who knows? Um, excuse me. I just woke up from a nap, so I'm still kind of tired. So yeah, I mean that's like a nice little cycle of games to play, and I've been like super bored. And I got Demigod on Dark and Darker, so I don't really have any desire to play that anymore. I made sure I streamed a little bit and grinded it out just to finish getting there so I can get the rewards. Why? I don't know. Just the fear of missing out, I guess, so I can make sure I have it, even if for some reason I decide, or even if I don't play Dark and Darker again, which I'm sure at some point I will. I will say something that does kind of suck for, I mean, I guess a lot of people, I was talking to Repose about this earlier, was whenever, like, around January 16th is very likely the next wipe timer for Dark and Darker, like, somewhere around that general area. Because that'll have been about 3 to 4 months after this last wipe started, which, so that could kind of suck, but I'll be honest. Oh my god, I can't stop yawning. I'll be honest. I don't know what Dark and Darker could do that would want to make me play it over Apogea. So if I have to choose between one or the other, it's almost guaranteed going to be Apogea, unless they have like some major changes. And even then, I would probably still play this just because I can always go back to Dark and Darker and play it, a week later after the test ends. Right? So yeah. As for the duration of the test, they haven't said, and I imagine it's probably because they don't know themselves. I know the last one I believe was supposed to only last for 1 week. However, they did have certain things like people, DOSing them and hitting the servers offline, which was one reason for the extension. And then on top of that, they said players hadn't explored as much as they wanted them to. And for that, mainly was like the main quest stuff, because the main quest stuff was bugged and you couldn't actually progress it to go anywhere. So I do believe they just wanted players to get to a certain level to like, see stuff, which is pretty cool. And it ended up being about a 2.5 week test, I think, but I don't know if this one's going to be as long. Players know more about the games and stuff now, so it probably isn't going to be nearly as hard to progress. That sort of thing. Also, something else I think actually want to talk about because I know a lot of people are going to ask me. I say a lot. I'm sure some will ask me. The validity of like my leveling guide going into this next test, and I will say, obviously, I don't know because I'll have to play it to really see. But I am gonna say with at least 75-80% confidence that some stuff will be changed. I imagine some of the minor stuff, like, the very, very easy, like, early game quests that are just talk to this person, probably won't be changed. However, some of the more major things like items that you find in chests or access to chests at certain levels or the major quest lines like the White Rats quest line, I think that one especially is going to be changed because the ease of access to it versus the rewards you get from it are, you know, obviously very, very different. You effectively don't have to kill any um, mobs or anything, and you can just get a really good quest line that gives you a ton of XP, a decent amount of gold, and access to some of the best early game items, all at level 5, which is, in the first 30 minutes of the game. And another thing is the cutlass, I imagine, also will probably get changed to a higher level chest, so we will not be able to do the run for it like we could before. But I mean, those are all things we'll have to find out, see what's changed, see what isn't. I'll probably make another updated. Oh, I say updated. I'll probably make one more video going forward before this, unless I have ideas about other things or if they release any more information, talking about potentially a leveling guide, leveling or like I say guide, like pathing slash build for that sort of stuff. But with that being said, get on to the very very last thing here, and they said also I'm leaving the tiny spoiler of the new area I just think is cool, and I kind of full screened it here, so it's kind of hard to see actually. Hold on a second, I got you guys. Do a little editing. I think the most important part is this over here. Where's it at? Boom. Okay. There. So this is a new area that they are showing off. And keep in mind, like I said, they did double. They said they doubled the size of the game. And if you remember the size of the game, it's actually quite large. This right here seems probably like it's gonna be a snow city, like a city that's it's probably halfway between the snow and like just the normal like Basil what's the name of the other town? I can't remember the name of the other town. It's Basil slash or no, East Norda, that one. East Norda, likely connecting them somehow. Also, you have what looks like water up here, so it's probably gonna have like boat access, which kind of further proves to me this is probably a city. And other than that, I don't really know what else is going on here. Something I will say is because he's standing by this, I know they plan on adding life skills, so then maybe that's what the because like this seems weird to me, that they're like, oh, this is, what's good. Like, oh, where's my thing? Where's it at? They're like, oh, it's a tiny spoiler of a new area I just think is cool. I mean, yeah, I mean, it could be like maybe it's like wood chopping or something. That's why this tree's chopped down and he's standing beside it. But who knows? Because I mean, it's kind of odd that he's just like, hey, just look at this new area, and you're standing here not seeing anything. I will say that this like town, like I said, this building over here looks like a town. Or oops, I forgot to bring it back over. This very much looks like it would be a town. I don't think it would be just a random building. Because if you look, you got this like little gate right here, and this like seems very towny. Also, the buildings are very, very large, and usually don't see buildings like this anywhere else on any other area except for like the towns and villages. The only place I can think of seeing something like this is maybe the Pestilence Tower, but I don't think that's what this is. Well, I mean, I know that's not the Pestilence Tower, but um, I don't think that's like a similar construct of that. I think it's, like I said, very, very likely just going to be a town. Also, I guess one last thing to talk about, just because I think it's, just try to make sure. I mean, really, what this video is like an announcement of the early access, but it's also me just trying to kind of say everything I can, to keep you guys like informed on like things that have changed or are happening. So there's going to be a looting change, which I've probably mentioned this before, but for those of you who don't know, looting how it was before was basically whenever something died, a bag dropped on the ground, and whoever opened the bag first could just take all the items out. No sort of system to it at all. Just first come, first serve for the loot. Now, it is going to be whoever gets a kill gets the loot, and I assume kill is just going to count by last hit. I doubt it's going to be like contribution or anything like that. In parties, it might allow everybody in the party to loot it, or it might still just be last hit person. I'm not really sure. But on top of that, anyone who is PvP flagged will be able to freely loot anything. So a big, big spot that this is going to come in play is going to be world bosses. Or I say world bosses, like, the night bosses, like the Alpha Wolf, the Brood Mother, the bandits in the caravan. All of those, they are, there's always a ton of people there every night trying to kill them. And now, if you were to get the last hit, you can freely loot it. Or if you are the person who is, if you're PvP flagged and you are there, then you'll be able to, it's a 50-50, right? It's you or the person that killed it will get to loot it, which means way more consistent access to some of the best items. And more importantly, it means that these places are going to become fucking PvP hotspots every single night. You are going to have a ton of people there trying to fight these mobs, PvP flagged to ideally get the loot. So something going to be really, really important to pay attention to is if you are the first person to hit level 15 where you can PvP flag, immediately like trying to be on those spawns every single night is going to be very, very crucial, especially if you are a knight. The Broodmother and the Alpha Wolf are super, super big for you, and then the bandits are really, really big for mages because the bandits can drop the Royal Dagger. Obviously, you can get that from a quest line as well, or whatever else, but it's gonna be really, really big. And the Royal Dagger is actually really good for knights as well because it gives you access to magic stats, it gives you good base stats, and allows you to use the broadsword dagger build a little bit better. And then the Broodmother drops a plate shield, which is the best shield you can get that early in the game, barring like a high rarity studded shield. And then the Alpha Wolf drops things like the Battle Cloak, which is a really good chest piece. It drops the Leaf Blade, all of these things. So it's going to be very, very, very contested. And I will be trying to farm it as early as possible. So as soon as I hit level 15, I will be going to those every single night PvP flag. Well, with that being said, that's going to wrap it up for me. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys are looking forward to the game as much as I am. And like I said, I will probably make at least one more video talking about like XP leveling, that sort of thing, getting closer. And yeah, I'll catch y'all there. Peace, peace.